Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sell More Book Show, episode 511. I'm Brian Cohen from Author Ad School, joined by Jeffrey Mason from HearYourStoryBooks.com. Jeffrey, how are you?
I'm doing great, Brian. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. I'm happy you're here. You and
Thank
I
you.
go way back.
Yeah.
You and I have worked together from you we'll talk about this later, but you listened to one of my older podcasts, Relentless Authors Advertise.
hmm
You've been a part of the 5-day ad challenges, one of which I have running now, Author Ad School, coaching, my Pathfinders group, all sorts of stuff. And so
Yes, and
that
I
has
mow your lawn occasionally.
yeah, I appreciate that too. We
Yeah.
don't have a lot of lawn, but I appreciate the help. Um, it's been a good long ride, and it's been pretty awesome to see your growth as a author who sold $1 million worth of books, which is crazy to say out loud, isn't it?
It's yes, I the amazing Paula and I just don't know how any of this happened. But I also know how it happened, if it makes any sense. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I
Yeah.
absolutely understand what you mean. What last week we had Kim Ann on the show, who you were a part of a group for Pathfinders
Yeah.
with her, and we had never had a children's book author come on the
Yeah.
show, and we've never had a low content author on the show, a low content book author on the show until yourself. So we're breaking barriers here.
Breaking barriers. All the
Yeah.
all the reaches. Yeah, low content is a term that it definitely applies. It's because it's associated with so much stuff. I kind of
Yeah.
nudge away, but then again, it's like, no, I kind of do medium content, low content. I mean, everything is high quality, everything can be low quality. It's just labels are
Yeah.
labels. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I think that some of the labels that you see show up on um, low content books are often authors churning out 20 books that they publish in a month that are just journals and calendars and whatnot. You don't really do that,
No, I kind of follow the traditional publishing model where um, I decide who I'm making a book for, and I decide why they would buy my book, and then I make that book, and then we launch it and work it and try to do we edit, we have a designer, I do all the things that a publishing company would do. So
though.
I'm not
Yeah.
just uploading 60 journals a day that have the same interior but have a different cover.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the point of view I think a lot of people have about low content, but I have published a series of workbooks before, which are
Mhm.
low to medium content, and those are some of my best sellers. I also didn't publish a million of them. Usually published one at a time, but it's been very rewarding to do that.
Yeah. No, I mean I only have 32 titles, which I know some low content people, that's what they put up a day. So
Right.
uh, and, but
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're going to get more into your story a little bit in these questions and whatnot. Um, what have you been working on lately? I mean, I know, but
yes.
you've kind of gone beyond some of the things that you used to do back in 2022 and earlier. What's your focus these days for your publishing
Well,
career?
I mean, everything is a advantage, disadvantage. And the low content space, everything tends to be print based. I have two titles that are ebooks for the Kindle Scribe,
Hmm.
but you can't do a workbook, you can't do a journal, you can't do a guided journal on a Kindle or an ebook. So I
Yeah.
have always lived in the print world. But that also allows me now, we've always had the notion of going wide. For me, that means I can sell my books if I do a print run on Etsy. I
Hmm.
can go to a wholesale show and stores will buy my books at wholesale and now stock them in the stores and sell them to their customers. So that's the direction I want to be everywhere my customer is. So that can be Amazon, but it can also be my website. It can be Etsy. It can be that great little curated boutique in that downtown section of that little cool town that everyone goes to on gift times. And that's what I'm working on right now. So,
and that's really cool because you think about it, a lot of authors when they're first starting out, they want to imagine their book in a bookstore, and
right.
now you're doing it in a way that a lot of people don't think about, because a lot of people think, oh well, I'll get some trad pub deal and then I will, maybe get into Barnes and Noble. But your books, maybe they'll end up in Barnes and Noble in a big way, maybe they won't. But you are targeting, in a way, these stores individually through wholesalers. You go into these big shows. It's not something a lot of authors think about.
And I have the advantage over a publisher working with Barnes and Nobles. I'm talking to the person who buys the books in the store. And so I get to hear about their customers, what they need, what they want, what's working for them. So it's a relationship. It's not just having someone in the middle of that like we do with Amazon. So
Right.
yeah.
And it, means a few extra steps for you now until you get all those middleman things figured out, but you'll get there.
Oh yeah. Always do.
Yeah. So a little bit of housekeeping from me here. I am going to read the question from a couple weeks ago, which was, have you ever self-published a children's book? Do you have interest in self-publishing a children's book? I didn't get these to Jeffrey in time, so I'll just go read them. Cass Medcalf has thought about it because she loves rhyming poetry and have written a few that would make fun kids' books. I know illustrations for that would be expensive, which has kept me from pursuing it. Four Moons Publishing has published a children's book. Heather Hadley has a rough draft for a children's book with the intentions of self-publishing. Need to get that book on her radar. And of course, Kim Ann, who was here, has a wonderful gif of Shakira on The Voice pointing to herself because she, of course, has published a bunch of them. Jeffrey, have you ever thought about it, a kid's book?
I have done one workbook that is based around the idea of a parent and their child, ages 6 to 9, 10, going through doing the workbook together and working on topics like confidence, being kind, working hard, things like that. So I do have one book out there, and it sells okay on Amazon, but in wholesale it sells really well. So
nice. I'll have to reach out to you about that one. My kiddo is 7, so she's right in the zone. She's right there. Awesome. So you can always answer the question of the week over at sellmorebookshow.com or in the Sell More Book Show After Party Facebook group. I wanted to mention that Author Ad School is now open. Adschool2024.com. It's a little different now. We've got 3 levels: Ad School Essentials, Ad School Plus, and Ad School Unlimited. Ad School Essentials is $39 a month. It's the lowest anyone's ever been able to get into ad school, $39 a month. And it includes our daily Page Pals writing rooms, which is a new accountability thing that we have every single day in ad school, where authors actually wrote over 200,000 words collectively in the month of November. And so we've got Essentials, Plus, and Unlimited. You can find out more at adschool2024.com. Jeffrey, you have no opinions about ad school, right?
I have found ad school to be not just beneficial in the knowledge, but just the thing I've always talked about, this making books game is kind of a do things alone time, but it's so nice to be part of a group that knows what you do, understands what you do, is going through the same challenges, and there's the community isn't just helpful with knowledge; they're helpful with support. So it's when you're part of ad school, it's classroom and it's recess, so it's nice.
Ooh, I like the way you put that. It's classroom and it's recess. I might have to use that one with your permission, of course.
Of course.
Awesome. Well, let's get into the top story of the week. Are you ready, Jeffrey?
Ready, ready.
All right, awesome. Top story is the top 10 publishing trends for 2024. Publishing trends seem to be changing more rapidly than ever as new business models appear and technology advances, says Written Word Media's Clayton Noblet. The most agreed upon 2024 trend from industry experts is a focus on quality. Quote, AI will change what makes a book stand out, says Ricardo Fayette of Readsy. The more books available to readers, the more picky they are likely to become. A lot of the onus in recent years was on quantity. In the future, this probably won't cut it anymore, end quote. Alongside quality comes connectivity, predicts author Orna Ross. Quote, in a world where mechanistic text proliferates, that was a big sentence, what the marketers call author branding will become as important, ever more important to readers, she says. As bland, straightforward text becomes commonplace, exciting voices will be more valued, she says. 2024 will bring more efficient marketing, such as promo stacking, more focus on protecting your copyright, greater use of TikTok ads, and the use of AI as a marketing tool. And because of the influx of AI-generated content, authors will have to refocus on the long game, says me, Brian Cohen of Best Page Forward. Quote, publishing has seen some ups and downs over the past few years with a pandemic, economic fluctuations, and the acceleration of AI, says Cohen. The problem is that many authors assumed working harder would get them the same or improved results. From the major outlier of a global pandemic, this led to more author burnout, medical issues, and more frustration than ever before, end quote. I believe that 2024 will be the year that many authors realize the power of focusing on sustainability and their mental health, setting more manageable goals, and shedding their habits of trying to do it all. So, Jeffrey,
Yes, sir.
what were your thoughts? I mean, looking at these 10 publishing trends, the ones we highlighted, what stuck out to you?
2023 was, I mean, especially towards the end, it was just such a big discussion of almost an oh my gosh conversation about people feeling pressure from Amazon changing, and now AI, and now ads, and this man versus the machine conversation. And I think that just leads to us. We need to really level up on the things we're really, really good at as people, which is connecting to our readers, to the people who buy our books, trying to not rely on other platforms, going more direct if we can. If you do ebooks, also think about making a beautiful, beautiful hardback book or paperback book that a machine can't. Do the things that we as people and creators do so flippin' well, instead of just churning out more books. So,
yeah, no, absolutely. And I think this goes back to the long game of, creating products that make a connection with the readers. So that it doesn't just feel like everything else. So AI is the big topic going around. It's interesting. I know some authors I'm friends with who use AI on their drafting process, and it is really cool. And I've definitely been tempted by the cool stuff going on with that. But because so much of what I do is kind of on the live teaching side, and I really like the live component, I don't really want to make an AI version of myself or make an AI generated content. And so, it doesn't end up really crossing my radar all that much. I'm going to ask you one of these hot potato wisdom questions, Jeffrey.
Okay.
So it could be one of these 10, and just like this is the one that's going to take off the most, or it could be something else. What publishing trend do you think will take off or become big in 2024?
I think more folks are going to feel the need and the desire to have a direct connection with the people buying their books, buying their products, using their books, their readers. In my case, the folks who give my books as gifts, and that's going to be through direct sales. And that's kind of returning to Kevin Kelly, the old editor of Wired Magazine, and his idea of 1,000 true fans. You can find 1,000 people on this earth who will spend $100 a year on what you create because you create it and they love what you do and they're connected to you and you connected to them. That's a six-figure salary, So I
Yeah.
think the more we get back to that idea of just building our tribe, building our really connecting and not worrying about finding the next 100, but taking care of the 100 who we really connect with, and then building from that 100. So
Yeah.
they will spread the word, I promise. So
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And that's definitely been my experience. Making true fans makes a big difference. So there's a hot potato question from you to me here, Jeffrey. I'm ready for it.
Brian, what are there any trends that the experts missed, do you think? And you were one
So
of the
I'm
experts.
Oh, well, yeah, I know. I'm very excited. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. I'm looking here. I'm looking here. It's like, I think that some of the things that have been happening in the educational space are
Mhm.
very interesting as far as how authors are learning, and that isn't necessarily represented here. So if I would say there was one trend that is being missed, it's that I think that these old school courses where you're just kind of expected to go off into a room and do them on your own without feedback. Like I've seen a lot more of these 2-week, 3-week workshops that are really concentrated with a lot of feedback. Of course, there's Ad School that has a lot of ongoing feedback with all the authors that are on shift. I think we're going to see less of, oh, there's this giant course that has all the content in the world, and that is the expectation that you learn from that. I think authors are feeling the need even more for community, feeling the need even more to connect. And that just doesn't happen in the courses that were being released. I will even say, even the courses that I was releasing back in 2015, 2016, I think
Yeah,
those days are gone.
yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah,
It's tough though. I
connection
mean,
is connection.
yeah, connection also takes time, and
Yeah,
you have to put effort into it, and you have to have a system for it. Um, but I think it will win out in the end.
yes.
So, um, we will ask a question of the week about that topic in a little bit. But Jeffrey, one of the, I'm sure you've been excited about this, but one of the things we do ahead of the lightning round is that the guest makes a lightning sound. So I'm
Yes.
ready for your lightning round sound, sir.
Okay. Lightning sound.
Ooh, it started small, and then I liked the kind of explosive nature of it at the end. And this is
Yeah.
my favorite part of the show, describing the lightning sound. I love it. Um, so, Jeffrey, first lightning question to you. What
Yes.
are some differences between marketing a novel and a lower content book, a mid to low content book like a journal?
While there are differences in tactics, the marketing always boils down to when you make something, you're creating a new product, a book, etc. You need to know who you're making it for. You need to know why they would buy it, and then where they would buy it and how to reach them. I mean, it's just kind of before I make anything, I determine all that stuff. I like to pick out 1 or 3 people that I'm making the book for, and then from
Yeah.
them that's my marketing base. The big difference for me is, I mean, I has historically relied on Amazon ads to get the word out there to my books.
Yeah.
Um, my ads run a little differently than if I was a horror writer, romance writer, in that my books are always bought as gifts. So so I'm not targeting readers of this. I'm targeting people who are buying gifts from mom, dad, etc. So it means certain times of the year, my ad spend is a whopper. And then other times of the year, my ads are out of kilt because in addition to buying my book, they also bought a romance novel and they bought dog food. And so my also bots are out of whack. So yeah. But
Yeah.
after a month they calm down. But
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's really helpful. All right, sir, you got a question for me here.
Yes. What do you think you learned from publishing multiple workbooks earlier in your career?
Absolutely. So I used to publish a bunch of workbooks. I haven't in quite some time, but that was kind of the early days of my publishing career, even before the Sell More Books show, if you can believe it, 511 plus weeks ago. But I learned a lot from these workbooks. I learned the importance of very, very specific targeting. If I was going to write a book that was going to be for grades 6 and 7 in the U.S., I needed to make sure that was mentioned in the blurb, that was mentioned in the 7 KDP metadata keywords, and that I wasn't too general with things, especially because when I started running Amazon ads to these books, 2017, 2018, going forward, I was really general, like thinking, oh, I'll do the word writing or the word writing prompts or these things. And I realized, well, that's not going to get the right audience for something as specific, kind of similar to what you go through with your books and your ads. It can't just be generally the topic that people are looking for. The more specific and the more relevant, the better. And I'm fortunate. I think I trained my Amazon ad knowledge a lot on these workbooks because they taught me some difficult lessons.
Yes, costly.
Yeah, some costly, but hey, when the cost goes to me, it doesn't pass down to you. So always a good thing. Always a good thing. So we're on the subject of Amazon ads a little bit here. So Jeffrey, you were one of the first listeners to my short-lived Relentless Authors Advertise show back in 2019. What do you think you learned about Amazon ads even back then that helped you go on this path to becoming a 7-figure author?
You know, that show, and I know back then, there were a variety of books about Amazon ads. But that was like the first weekly, discussion of Amazon ads that I found anyway. Yeah. And the fun thing about it was all of it was such a wonderful experiment. Even the way you were doing the ads was talking out loud about what you were trying, talking out loud about the results, talking out loud about the progress. And it really fleshed out. I was already doing Amazon ads, but that really helped me to look at it in such a different, holistic way, the way you were kind of going through it. And I just love the idea that you did this experiment of a short podcast. I mean, if we treated more things like experiments, you wouldn't hesitate so often to try things.
Right. It kind of makes it like failure isn't failure. It's just, well, it was always meant to be short.
Let's see if it works.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah. It's a coffee date. It's not marriage. So yeah.
Yes. We need more coffee dates in our lives. I love that. That is awesome. I think you've got a question for me here.
Brian, so why do you think Amazon ads remain relevant even after 7.5 years after they burst onto the author scene?
I love this. So why are Amazon ads still relevant after 7.5 years when there are so many fancier, newer, cooler things, some of which were highlighted in the 10 publishing trends, of course? It is because they still work for a lot of people. I think that there's this misconception that, well, Amazon ads don't work anymore, and so we're not going to put our time into it. Obviously, Jeffrey, who spent a fair bit on Amazon ads to have a wonderful December 2022 and 2023, is proof enough that, hey, they still work even within the last 30 days. And we're on, I don't know if you know this, Jeffrey, this challenge that I'm doing right now is the 18th challenge, 18th quarterly challenge. And we have had more folks than were at a challenge since late 2020. We've had over 6,400 people register. And I think that there's still an appetite out there. There's still folks who know that if you're going to be selling on Amazon, it helps to run the ads on the platform where you're hoping to sell those books.
Yes, it does. Yeah. No, the ad spin is so cool because I remember some of those same folks who were with me kind of going, huh? What? Explain. And now you look at them and they're just like making it look easy on Amazon ads
Oh,
and selling tons of books. I mean, it's just 18 of them. Wow.
yeah, I know. It's been a while. I
Yeah.
had to like count them. I was looking at the calendar, and that's the only way I figured it out because I was like,
Yeah.
how many is it? Like 12 at this point? 14? Like, no,
18.
underestimated.
Yeah.
Last lightning question for you, sir. So,
Yeah.
when authors hear your story about spending tens of thousands of dollars to earn $200,000 plus 2 Decembers in a row, what do you think they miss about the progression of Amazon ad spending?
Well, the first thing is to remember is my Amazon ad, well, I run them all year long. Because my sales so far have been very much based around a tripod, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas. That's the
Right.
biggest sellers of my books. They're gifts, which means my ad spend during those time periods, that's when I really double down and focus. But to anything that you want to scale up requires more investment. And I have learned over the years that as long as those ads are producing a good result on ad spend, then I don't mind investing more dollars. I tend to get $2 or $3 back for every dollar I spend on Amazon ads at those times of the year. So, um, but it's a daily look at, but I like looking at the data, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like with anything, to scale it up, it needs more fuel.
Yeah.
So, which is
Yeah.
dollars in this case. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Great answer there. Great lightning round. We need a question of the week here. We can talk about these 10 publishing trends, or we can talk about something else. You're the
Yeah.
guest, sir. What would you like to talk about?
Kind of going back to the idea that, I mean, we've always talked about this, but maybe 2024 is the year that people really begin earnestly, strategically connecting with their customers, their readers, and what are folks doing to build their reader group, build those raving true fans that love what they put out, and you learn from them as well. So what are the tactics and techniques you're using to connect to your readers and build those groups?
I
So
love it. How do you plan to build your group of raving true fans in
there you go.
2024? What tactics and techniques will
Yeah.
you use? Great question. Thank you, sir. You can answer the question of the week over at sellmorebookshow.com or in the comment section for the Sell More Book Show after party post. Jeffrey, this has been fun. You should come back next week too.
I'll put it on my schedule. Thank you.
All right, awesome. So yeah, I appreciate that. Where can people find more out about your books?
You can find my web store at hearyourstorybooks.com. Of course, Hear Your Story on Amazon. You can find Hear Your Story on Etsy. You can find Hear Your Story on Walmart.com. So, like I said, we try to be everywhere and hope to be in a store near you soon. So,
love it. Awesome, sir. Thank you again for spending your time with us today.
thank you for inviting.
Of course. So, spoiler alert, Jeffrey will be back next week on the next episode of the show. You can join him and 2,000 other authors in Ad School at adschool2024.com and get those new daily writing rooms, which folks are really excited about, along with all of our wonderful content. adschool2024.com. Thank you again for Jeffrey. I'm Brian. Have a great week of book selling, everybody, and we'll be back next week for episode 512. Yes, see you, everybody. Bye.